that the sun shines down its power to all the world and makes the wind blow strong as it will. I wanna hope gentle rains can fall upon the land, so lovely earth can stay lovely still.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the 565th edition of Energy Week with George Harvey and the amazing Tom Fennell.
In the flesh.
In the flesh.
But not in the studio.
But not in the studio. Okay. Today is the 21st of March, and we are starting this show with news from the 14th, and we will do each day from the 14th to the 20th. 14th being a Thursday, so we're doing the full week up to the Wednesday. And what these are news items that we're taking from my blog, geoharvey.com, geoharvey.com, and you can find a couple of links down lower on this page. That one of them allows you to download a file that has all of these things in it, and the other one takes you to a website that has all of these things in it. And that having been said, unless Tom has got something else to say, which he undoubtedly does, we can just go ahead. What do you have to say, Tom?
Well, we got a picture coming up that's very interesting because it says it's in Alberta, which it is, but the mountains in the background are in British Columbia.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, they form the border.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. I know that the thing that we're talking about actually involves those mountains, but not directly. So what do you have for a title? This is from CTV News Calgary.
Alberta Commission finds renewables pose little threat to agriculture or environment.
Okay. Alberta's utilities regulator released a report saying the province's renewables industry is little threat to its agriculture or the environment. The report says the area of land needed for renewable energy is less than 1% of the area of the prime agricultural land. Now,
read that sentence again.
The report says that the area of land needed for renewable energy is less than 1% of the area of prime agricultural land. I want to point out, go ahead, Tom.
That's interesting.
Yeah. They don't have to use any prime agricultural land. They can get their 1% from other things. But the thing that they're excluding is not just prime agricultural land. It's land like the land in that picture. It's picturesque land. You're not allowed to put up anything in terms of wind turbines or solar panels within, I think they said, 30 miles of the mountains. So there's a lot going on in Alberta, however, that is not within 30 miles of those mountains.
Yeah.
That's your response. Okay. Should we go on?
I have been up to that territory there. That's country there. That
is. It's pretty. I like it very much. Okay. Should we go on, Tom?
Yeah, I can't dance. You got a picture of a guy there with some sort of a motorcycle.
No, it's a bicycle, sort of. It's a tricycle. It's what is called an adaptive bike, although it's not it's tri. I think they're loose with these things. This is from Clean Technica. What do you have for a title?
First fully adaptive e-bike trail system opens in Vermont.
Yep. A recent article at Bike Mag shared the story of the first U.S. trail system fully compatible with adaptive bikes or bikes that cater to the needs of the disabled. It features a total of 11 trails and a total distance of 3 miles. The new trails are equally enjoyable by both abled and disabled. And I got to tell you, looking at that picture, I'm not going to enjoy that trail. I would not only not go on the adaptive bike that guy's got, or on any other bicycle, I wouldn't go on it on foot. It's just too steep for me. So, but he looks like he's ready to have a good time.
Well, his face, he's kind of grinning there at us.
Yeah, he is. He is.
I'm sure he had a good day, good time that day.
It looks like he probably did. Of course, you know, maybe he got carted off to the hospital by the time he got to the bottom of that thing. But I'm just too old for that kind of thing. Maybe I'm not really too old for that kind of thing, but I'm getting to a point, I'm 77, and I've got to a point where I just think at my age, I'd probably be wiser not to go trundling down that slope. Okay.
Well, we got a picture of the Pilbara region of Western Australia.
Yeah, we do. And
There's actually a tree in that picture.
There are a bunch of trees in that picture, but that's, and of course the Pilbara region of Western Australia is huge, and not all of it looks like this, but
it's undeveloped, and it's right now they're trying to develop it.
Yeah, this is from PV Magazine International. And Tom, I believe you have a title.
BP increases stake in 26 gigawatt Australian hub.
Yeah, Macquarie Group sold its 15% share in the Australian renewable energy hub to UK energy company BP, it said. The solar wind...
That's formerly known as British Petroleum.
Right. The solar wind and green hydrogen project is planned for Western Australia. The project's estimated worth is $36.4 billion. That's US money, and that would be a little bit over $50 billion Australian. And BP's share is now 64%. That's
interesting. They're working pretty hard trying to redevelop that part of Australia.
Yeah, and BP is working pretty hard trying to redevelop itself so it can survive in a world where the gas and oil products it's always sold are not saleable anymore. And
well, at least they're trying.
They are indeed. And I found in the news today that Shell is doing kind of the same thing. I don't know if we're going to be reporting on that next week or not. I've forgotten whether it got included. But certainly Shell what Shell is going to do is they're going to take all of their gas stations, I think possibly in Europe, but maybe worldwide. They're taking all of their gas stations, they're closing the ones that they don't feel would be good sites for charging electric vehicles, and they're adding electric chargers to all of the rest. So that's a big change for them.
Yeah, they're getting set.
Yeah. So we're up to Friday, March 15th, and we have a picture of wind turbines. And
is that what they are?
I think they are. They're either that or noisemakers for parties. Okay, this is from Solar Quarter.
The NYPA seeks partners for renewable energy projects to advance New York's climate goals. Now, they're going to tell us what NYPA stands for.
Absolutely. The New York Power Authority, that's NYPA. It launched a request for qualifications to identify and pre-qualify companies and investors for renewable energy and storage system projects aligning with New York State's ambitious climate action objectives.
Sounds okay to me.
It does. You know, when I do articles like this on my blog, I very often come across self-described items, you know, saying this is ambitious or this is the biggest ever or something like that. And usually I take those words out because they've just got words and words and words and words and words, and they get in the way of understanding. That particular one I allowed to sneak in. But yeah, they're New York State under Governor Cuomo and now Governor, what's her name? Kathleen
her name, yeah.
Hocus.
Something like that.
Something like that. I got it wrong. I can tell you I got it wrong. Hochul? Maybe.
Yeah, that's pretty close.
Yeah. They're really going for renewable energy, which makes a great deal of sense because New York State has a lot of things that it can work on, but also they've got some very clear ideas about what they want to do. So anyway, I'm going to go on, and
we're going to take a look at a rather funny-looking vehicle.
A very funny-looking vehicle. And
if you notice, it's elevated. It's like a hydrofoil. It is a hydrofoil.
Yeah, and it leaves. You know, that thing is probably going really fast, and it's leaving practically no wake. And it's running on underwater runners. That's right. And one of the things that's interesting about this is this is in a fjord. And fjords don't usually have big waves in them. And these hydrofoils, you know, they have problems with big waves. The United States actually attempted to, well, they tested, I should say, hydrofoils on PT boats during the Second World War. That was a long time ago. There's been a lot of experience with these. This is from Clean Technica. What do you got for a title?
Flying electric boat to haul commuters at the site of an epic environmental protest.
Wow. The Swedish electric boat company Candela is in production of its 30-passenger P12 hydrofoil ferry. The zero-emissions watercraft levitates above the water while in motion. It's almost like it's flying like an airplane with a wing below the water, which is how it can elevate like that. And it cuts down enormously on the amount of fuel, and it allows much faster running. Energy efficiency for fossil fuel travel is the main benefit of hydrofoil technology. So they're benefiting from this technology by using, the technology makes it possible for them to run on electric power alone.
It's interesting that the company they refer to as Candela,
yes,
is actually, and has been for years, in the light bulb business.
A light bulb business. That's why it's called Candela, of course.
Of course.
Good enough.
I used to deal with Candela when I was in the light bulb business myself.
Oh, okay. Did you sell them many light bulbs, or did you buy many light bulbs?
I bought light bulbs.
You bought light bulbs?
They stocked virtually every light bulb ever made.
Really?
Yeah,
that's
huge. I was selling Sylvania. I was selling Sylvania, who makes light bulbs.
Okay. So that was from Clean Technica, and the next one is also from Clean Technica. And we have a picture of
EV chargers.
In a basement in Manhattan someplace, probably.
I guess it doesn't really tell us where it is. It comes from Clean Technica.
Yeah, but the article is about New York City, so I would think that that's probably in New York City.
I'll read the headline, see if we can make some sense out of it.
Okay.
New York City gets 500 kilowatt charging stations.
Yeah, Gravity Mobility opened up some 500 kilowatt chargers to other companies in New York City. Reuters called them the, quote, fastest... Reuters. Yeah?
Reuters, Dr. Rutgers.
Reuters.
Okay.
Reuters is a German name, and in German, EU is pronounced like OI in English. And that particular organization keeps its OI pronunciation, even though it's being pronounced in English. Reuters calls them...
Reuters.
No, Reuters.
Reuters, right?
Didn't I say Reuters? I said Reuters. I'm sorry. You're right. I was being weird there. Okay, they called them the, quote, fastest EV charger in the US, end quote. Though they might not technically be the fastest ever, they might only tie for first place. It's a big move, and it signals the kilowatt wars might continue. And of course, when
the
you...
kilowatt wars will continue.
Yeah. The whole thing about kilowatts here has to do with how fast can you charge a car.
Yeah.
If you've got a car that charges at 500 kilowatts, it's going to charge in a tenth of the time that it would charge if it were only 50 kilowatts.
They're moving in that direction. They've made more progress in the last year than they have in the previous 50.
Yeah, probably. Probably. Anyway, we could go on unless you mind.
Saturday, March 16th is coming up pretty quick.
It sure is, and we have a picture of a coal-burning power plant. This article is from...
It's like one to me. How can you tell it's a coal-burning plant, George?
Well, there's two big clues here, one of which is you've got really tall chimneys. Those cooling towers that look like they belong in a nuclear plant are, if you get close to them, they're really, really huge. But the chimneys...
And they got those conveyors to bring the coal up.
But that's the big thing, is the conveyors to bring the coal up. And you see them both coming from lower on the right and then going up as they go to the left. And they're in front of this side of the cooling towers. And those two things, tall chimney and conveyor, are the giveaways for a coal-burning power plant. I'm putting the picture up so people can see what we're talking about. And
it says, and I quote,
okay,
baseload power doesn't make sense anymore.
Yeah, today, despite all the reasons to know better, many people still insist that we need baseload power. I see this every day in the news. I think it's sheer folly. Let me start with a statement that some people might find hard to take. And the statement is this: it is not possible to run a grid on just baseload power.
That makes sense.
We talked about it last week. I made a promise last week that I would get this up on Clean Technica, and I wrote it, and now it's up on Clean Technica. And
cool.
Sure enough, I got an email from a guy who read it, who said, this is wrong. People don't talk about baseload power like that anymore. Nobody really wants baseload power anymore. And baseload power, the term is used for something else. And he went on and on and on. And then the next day, of course, I saw a thing about how someone, I think it was a governor of a state, was saying we need more baseload power plants. No, people don't know. They don't understand. We don't need baseload power, which is why NextEra Energy is not building any coal or gas or even oil-based power plants anymore. Everything is either wind or solar, possibly hydro, but wind, solar, and batteries are the three big things.
It's going to say including storage.
Right. They say as of almost 2 years ago, they started using a term they call near firm. And near firm solar and near firm wind, they say in either case, that
pretty reliable.
More reliable, or I should say at least as reliable, to be accurately quoting what they said, at least as reliable as nuclear power for providing peak load demand. So
well, we got a picture of a funny looking car.
We have a picture of a funny looking car. We do indeed, and I'll put it up.
And that car, for what it's worth, is a do-good.
A do-good.
Zero.
Yeah, do-good zero. It's called a zero because it doesn't have any emissions. And this also is from Clean Technica.
And do-good happens to be the name of a Chinese company.
Yes. Yes, I wonder if they actually use that particular name in China. They might just have a Chinese word that means do-good.
They probably do.
Yeah, probably. Although with the Chinese, the way they do things, they could just as easily have named the company in English, you know.
Well, I've said this before. This Chinese Communist company, one of the most capitalist countries in the world.
That's right, and yeah. Okay, this is from Clean Technica. What do you got for a title?
The little do-good Motors Zero EV claims it has more space inside than a Lamborghini.
No, you're not reading the title.
Oh, I should be.
That's okay.
The Do-Good Zero, an electric microcar for urban living.
Yeah. The Little Do-Good Motors Zero EV claims it has more space inside than a Lamborghini and has, quote, more electric range than a Ferrari, end quote. So, while such statements may be technically true, they also seem to be very funny as a way to compare an electric microcar that costs 6,000 pounds, which is $7,640. So that's the price of that car. It's about what did I just say? $7,640. And it is too narrow to seat two people across. But it does hold two people, one in front and one in back.
Is that that's how they squeeze him in there, huh?
Yeah, and I got to tell you, the pictures that come with this article show that the inside of this car is really, really roomy.
It is.
Yeah.
There's only room for one.
Only one in the front seat, and then an additional one in the back seat.
Yep.
But the one in the back seat could also have a dog with him, or a toddler, or something. I don't know.
That's nice.
Yeah, that's nice.
There's somebody in town has a car like that.
Really?
I think they're a doctor up at the hospital.
Well, how about that? I don't think they have that exact car, because I don't think they're for
No, it's not that exact car, but it's a funny-looking little thing like that.
Yeah. Now we have a picture of sled dogs.
Is that what they are?
I think that's what they are. That's what the caption says.
It's certainly close to sled dogs.
Now, I want to ask you, Tom, look at those dogs. Do they look like they're smiling to you?
Yes.
Dogs, some dogs, maybe not all dogs, but dogs can smile, and dogs can frown, and dogs can look really bored. And these guys look like they're smiling and having a good time.
They look like they're having a good time, that's right.
Yeah. Now, somebody is probably going to stop me on the street and say, George, those dogs are not having a good time. Well, you'd have to go a little bit farther than that to convince me. But there is one thing I can tell you about these dogs, and that is they are not running in the Iditarod.
Good point.
And I'll tell you how I know that. They aren't wearing boots. I'm serious. In order to run in the Iditarod, a dog has to have boots. You got to have boots. Yeah, they're doggy boots, but they in those long races, a dog can get his paws hurt, and they don't want that to happen. So they have a requirement that the dogs wear boots. This is from ABC
Well, give me
News.
the title of this.
Yeah,
article.
do that, please.
Dog sledding: how climate change forces the Iditarod to adapt.
Yeah. For the first time in 25 years of running dog sledding tours, Tanya McCready must invest in snowmaking equipment.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah. The vanishing snow along the trails she mushes her sled dogs, and the once frozen lake she says is no longer safe to cross, signify a changing climate. Now, Tanya McCready is not a person who keeps professional trails open. She's keeping the trails open for her own dogs so they can run.
And she's down snowmaking equipment.
This is crazy. It really is. You know, we're talking about Alaska here in the winter, and there isn't enough snow. What can you do about that? I'll tell you, we're going to have other stuff later in the show that is, some of it is a little bit disturbing. Some of it's a lot disturbing.
They are changing.
They are. Okay, we're up to Sunday, March 17th, and we have a picture of scales and a big American eagle on it.
Well, March 17th is St. Patty's Day for those who care.
Yes, I care. I care. Okay, what do you got? Oh, this is from Clean Technica, just so
a picture of a pair of scales.
Yes. What do you got for a title?
I don't think they're really scales. I think they're a statue or something like that.
Something.
What we got as a title is, quote, Climate Criminals prosecuting big oil for environmental crimes.
Holy smokes, what an idea. Okay, David Arkush, who is the director of Public Citizen Climate Program, and Aaron Regenberg, who is a senior climate policy counsel at Public Citizen, have written an article for the New Republic called, here's the title, "The Case for Prosecuting Fossil Fuel Companies for Homicide." And the person who wrote the article says, wow, let that sink in. This is from Clean Technica.
That's worth letting it sink in.
Yeah, I think the idea, you know, I have an idea that if a company is found guilty of intentionally doing things for money that wind up killing people, that should be homicide. And if they're guilty of homicide, they should, this is the only circumstance I feel comfortable with saying that deserves the death penalty. Now, obviously, we would not be, I happen to believe that the death penalty should not be enforced on human beings for a number of reasons, not the least of which, perhaps the most important of which, is that if you're going to have a death penalty, what you're teaching your citizens, what you're teaching your children in school, is that under certain circumstances, it is okay to kill people. And
yeah, I hear you.
I don't like that idea unless there's a war going on. And I don't like wars. So, you know, there it is. But in the case of a business, you're not killing a person. And I think that it would make sense just to say, if they're going to do that, we're going to stop the business and we're going to have the state take it over and run it. So that
in the middle of that picture is the Great Seal of the United States.
That's right. Let me put that back up again. That's the seal that you see on the president's president's. Well, you see it. It is the Great Seal of the United States. You see it all over the place.
Yeah, most officers of the military wear that on their hat.
Yes, that's right. They wear it on their hat. I never did because I was never an officer in the military.
Uh-huh.
I was in the ROTC, but they wouldn't let me stay.
Wise decision.
They wouldn't let me stay. It was not my decision. The problem was that they found out that I had a medical condition that would make me 4F. And
let's move along here. We got a funny-looking airplane.
Yeah, this airplane I've got a little bit of data about. Let me put it up for people so they can see it.
Well, that's a pretty big airplane.
It is, and this is from a publication called Interesting Engineering. So what do you have for a title?
Radia, this is Windrunner, to be the world's largest aircraft ever built.
Yeah, the enormous blades.
Very large plane.
It's a very large plane, and I will get into that in a minute. The enormous blades required for today's most potent offshore wind turbines can't be transported over land. A Colorado-based energy startup believes it has the answer to that. A colossal airplane purpose-built to ferry the largest wind turbines blades imaginable. Now, that airplane...
That's big enough to put wind turbine blades inside it.
That's right. Wind turbine blades that are 360 feet long. And that aircraft has a storage capacity which is, I think what I read, I'm forgetting this, so I might be wrong, 6 times or maybe 8 times the storage capacity of a Boeing 747. So it's a
that wing looks like it's a small wing, and it's not. It's a full-size wing.
It's a big wing, and the reason why it looks so big is because the aircraft is not carrying lead. It's carrying a couple of wind turbine blades. Yep. And they can be heavy, but they don't need a lot of wing to keep going. So that's what that is.
So let's move right along.
Let's do that. Now,
there's another picture coming up, and it shows a picture of a Ford F-150 Lightning, and the front hood, which normally isn't used for anything, is a trunk.
yeah, or what they call a frunk.
A frunk, yeah, they do it.
Yeah. This is from Clean Technica also.
Ford F-150 Lightning race pits Tesla superchargers against Electrify America.
Yeah.
What does that say? What does that mean?
Tom Maloney and Kyle Connor, both good, what would you call those, Swedish names?
I wouldn't call them very, very Swedish.
They're both Irish. Took 2 Ford trucks from New Jersey to Florida to see who would get there first. One had to rely on Electrify America stations, and the other had to use Tesla supercharger network. Spoiler is they arrived about 3 minutes apart.
How about that?
Yeah, they were both doing pretty well. So that's what that is. Now, should we go on, or do you have more comments about that?
I was just going to say, you can buy that car with a lot of add-ons in that front trunk.
Yeah.
Like, very appropriate for I can't even think of the word. I can't even think of a builder.
Oh, appropriate for people, contractor.
Well, they can come up with a generator inside that little thing, so you got power on site.
Yeah, although this particular vehicle, I'm going to go back to it. The Ford F-150 Lightning can have a regular 110 outlet that you can plug things into. So, I mean, there's a lot of things that you can do with these, and one of the things that you can do is actually power your house. So
yes, you can.
You know,
absolutely.
Your
plug your house right into the car.
Yep. Okay. So our next item is a solar farm from Total Energies. This is from Renews.
Looks like a solar farm to me.
I think it is. Although there are mountains, so it's a solar farm with mountains. Okay, what do you got?
I don't see any mountains.
If you look on the right at the horizon, you can see the tops of very distant mountains.
I'll take your word for it.
Okay.
I can't. But
okay.
Total Energies reaches 1.5 gigawatts power purchasing agreement milestone.
Right. Total Energies reached over 1,500 megawatts, which is 1.5 gigawatts, of signed renewable power purchase agreements over 600 industrial and commercial customers worldwide. Of this, 1.5 gigawatts, 1.1 gigawatts is already operating, generating 1.5 terawatt hours of electricity per year. That's a fair amount of electricity.
It is.
You could cook quite a few hot dogs with that. After 400 megawatts, while 400 megawatts will be commissioned by the year's end, the oil and gas giant said Total Energies is an oil and gas company, which is one of the things, you know, we were talking about BP and Shell earlier, and Total Energies is just another one. The big oil and gas companies are almost all trying to get themselves into renewable energy, except the ones that are in the United States.
That's interesting.
Well, the United States is so far behind everybody else in renewable energy, it is absolutely insane. And, you know, we're going to wind up paying the price for that.
A little bit of politics involved.
Yeah, and there's a little bit of politics involved. But, you know, it's like some countries are very close to 100% renewable. What are they? Costa Rica, Norway, Paraguay, Uruguay.
I was just going to say the two Guays.
The two Guays, that's right. A bunch of other countries. But, you know, Albania is 100% renewable. If Albania can do it, why can't the United States? Just out of curiosity. I can answer that question. And the answer is the Albanians were 100% renewable before all of this started because they were getting
Well, they got a lot of hydro.
They were getting all of their electricity from hydro. Yeah. Okay. So this particular item comes from a publication called Construction World.
And lo and behold, we got another picture of rooftop solar.
Yeah, rooftop solar. Only that is, I'm on the wrong picture there. No, I'm on the right picture. What do you got for a title?
Looking at the pictures, it's sort of the same picture from a different perspective.
Okay, gotcha.
And the title says, and I quote, India's energy subsidies hit a 9-year peak.
Yes. In India, energy subsidies have surged to a 9-year peak, reaching $39.3 billion. Of course, it's not in dollars, it's in what do they have there? Rupees.
In India?
Rupees.
I'm not sure.
It's rupees. Amid the ongoing global crisis, this shows the government's efforts to cushion the impact of rising energy costs on consumers and industries while supporting the transition toward cleaner and more sustainable energy. Well,
read that last sentence again.
This shows the government's efforts to cushion the impact of rising energy costs on consumers and industries while supporting the transition toward cleaner and more sustainable energy. Now,
that's a mouthful.
It is. So don't make me say it again. But the thing about India is India has the worst air of any country on earth.
Is that so?
Oh, I saw a thing where I forget, I think it was the WHO or somebody was listing the 100 worst cities in terms of air pollution.
Yeah.
All but one of them were in Asia, and 73 or something, I don't remember exactly, but my recollection was that it might have been 73, were in India. And the worst ones are in India. And it's India, Bangladesh, and Pakistan are the 3 countries that are the worst. I would have thought the Chinese would have had, won that place, but they have better air now. Their air is improving. And India's air will improve too, despite the fact that they are still building coal-burning power plants. Okay, now we have an item which is a little bit closer to home, and we have a picture of flooded Montpelier, which, by the way...
Where is Montpelier?
It's farther than I can walk north of here. Now, this is not a recent picture.
This is a recent picture of floods in Montpelier.
Yeah, but it's not that recent. This is not in the last month or two. This goes back quite a long time. You'll see that all the trees in there are green. I think this is from last summer.
Well, they have had floods in Montpelier recently.
Yeah. What have you got for the this is from last summer though. The trees are green. What do you have for the title?
Fossil fuels broke the environment. Who should pay to fix it?
In his latest blog post on Substack, Bill McKibben wrote that the Vermont legislature is working on an idea that would require companies that produce and distribute fossil fuels to pay for the environmental damage they have caused.
How radical.
How radical. And it says, parenthetically, some people want to make them criminally liable. So this builds on that thing that we had a couple of items back from Clean Technica, I guess. That was on the news from Sunday. And, they're getting serious about making people liable. And
well, Bill's from Vermont. He's from northern Vermont. We ought to see if we can get him on a show sometime.
Bill McKibben?
Yeah.
I don't think he'd be interested. He has so many calls from him all the time.
Yes, he does.
Getting him down to Brattleboro would be kind of it would be a triumph for him and maybe not a triumph triumph for us, but not a triumph for him. So we're up to Tuesday, March 19th, this is a really interesting picture to me. And
Oh,
it's
an offshore wind vessel, huh?
yeah. Well, there's a couple of vessels in that picture.
You can see the wind, you can see the turbine blades.
Yep. And there are, I think, 3 different vessels in that picture, believe it or not. This is from Clean Technica.
More and faster offshore wind is the aim of Maersk's new Rube Goldberg workboat.
This is a real, honest-to-goodness Rube Goldberg of a workboat. Now, if you look at this, you can see that there is a thing that is a weird kind of catamaran with blue hulls, 2 of them. And the wind turbine parts are all on top of that. Also on top of it is the base of a huge, huge crane. Now, under it, between the 2 hulls of this, is what appears to be a barge, which was brought to deliver parts of wind turbines. And the barge at the stern end has a tugboat pushing it in a little place that is conveniently put into it, just so a tugboat can push it. So, yeah, Maersk Supply Service has a new type of, quote, next generation wind installation vessel, end quote. It will haul the WIV out to a wind farm construction site and park it there.
WIV is wind installation vessel.
Right, and park it there 24/7, while additional components are ferried in by a fleet of other purpose-built vessels. Now, those
are the vessels you're talking about.
Yeah, that big thing that has the 2 hulls that are blue, and the crane on it, and the wind turbine mast on it, and the blades on it, and all that stuff, and all the way over on the right, you can see a helicopter landing spot. That thing is the WIV, the wind installation vessel. And the other things are just part of that fleet of other things. So there you have it. So, you want to go on from there, Tom?
Yeah, moving right along.
Okie doke. Our next picture is a picture of wind turbines.
How about that?
How about that? Isn't that amazing? And this particular article comes from a publication called Corporate Knights.
With a K.
That is correct. It's Knights with a K.
It was a monumental year for renewables in Europe.
Yeah. Coal dropped 26% in 2023. That is what you call a remarkable recession in that industry. I would say it goes much farther than recession. Coal is in a severe depression in Europe, actually the United States too. And another 20% of coal plants in the EU are expected to close this year or next. Surprisingly, gas did not replace coal on the grid, as it saw a 15% decline, the 4th decline in 4 years. Wind power is now the 2nd largest source of electricity in the EU.
That's interesting.
Isn't it? So, you know, I think somebody is doing something right, I guess. I don't know.
Much of that is in the North Sea.
Much of the wind farm, is in the North Sea. And the Russians, I think, are trying to figure out very hard how to take as much of that power down as quickly as they can, so they can put Europe into a dependency on them, or possibly to operate a war against Europe, because the Russians are not at all pleased with Europe. But, you know, and Vladimir Putin, I think, is a person who would do that kind of thing without worrying about it. I don't think he cares much about people suffering. Anyway.
I don't think he does.
No. We have an item here from Renews and a picture of a grid system. And when it's a picture of part of a grid.
Yeah, it's called a grid system, right?
Yeah. And when I read this, I thought, why in the world are they illustrating this with a picture of a tower in a grid? And then I figured it out. So what do you have for a title?
System system operator outlines a 58 billion pound UK offshore grid plan.
Right. And I sat there and thought, wait a minute, they're talking about offshore wind power here. What is this all about? Why do they have this big tower when they're talking about offshore wind power? The UK electric system operator has published a report proposing a 58 billion pound investment. I'm going to guess that's $70 billion in the electricity grid to meet growing demand for electricity in Great Britain by 2035. The plan aims to connect 21 gigawatts more of offshore wind development off the coast of Scotland. So there you have that. And the reason why they're looking at a grid tower there is because the problem they've got is not putting in the wind turbines or getting the electricity from the wind turbines to shore. It's what do you do after it gets to shore? So they have to deal with the grid infrastructure on land.
Yes.
In addition to everything else.
That's what that picture is.
That's what the picture is. That's right. That's why they're talking about offshore wind, but they're looking at stuff that is on land. Okay, we are up to Wednesday, March 20th.
All day.
All day. We have a picture. I love this picture. We have a picture of a post office. This particular post office is in a village in the western desert in India.
Well, it was made to look rustic, I think.
I think it was made to work, and it just happens that the only way they could do it was to make it look rustic. Okay, CNN gave us this.
Coal billionaire is building the world's biggest clean energy plant, and it's 5 times the size of Paris.
You've been to Paris?
No, I haven't.
I have. I have no desire whatever to go back, but that's not because I have anything against Paris. It's because I'm not 15 anymore. Okay, 5 times the size of Paris. Earth's biggest energy plant will make enough electricity to power Switzerland. The Kavda project is turning barren salt desert on the edge of the western India into one of the world's most important sources of clean energy. And I want to point out one other thing about this particular desert, and that is this desert that they're talking about here has practically nothing living in it. I mean, this village is kind of on the edge of the desert, and the name they've given the project is the same as the name for the village. But I think, they say there's no birds, there's no animals, no plants, there's nothing. And I think it's even a salt desert, so it really is not something that you could develop even if you had water.
This is the Sahara you're talking about.
It's what?
The Sahara.
No. This is in Western India.
Oh, okay.
And it's on the border with Pakistan. So it's on a border that is sensitive because India and Pakistan have never got along. But Pakistan didn't exist until after the Second World War. So I can actually say that with some confidence. But the desert there has got nothing else in it. So they're, I don't think I read the name of the billionaire. And I forget what it is, to tell you the truth. So I know that we've talked about this guy before, but
yes, we have.
Is it Avadi?
Something like that.
Something like that. I don't remember. My apologies to him. Okay, our next item is from Clean Technica. And we
got a picture of a wind turbine.
A wind turbine, that's right. And I think that's the only wind turbine in the picture. And it looks like it's out on a golf course or something, but what can I say? I'm sure it's not on a golf course.
Well, the picture says it's wind turbines, but I can't see another turbine there.
Just a quick glance. I don't see it. I don't see another turbine. Nope.
Well,
okay.
let's see what it says about it.
Yeah.
We can pursue it a little bit further.
Yeah.
300 million home
sales.
Home sales. Prove it. Wind turbines don't kill property values after all.
Right.
One of the big bugaboos about wind turbines,
Well, you know,
people say they kill property values. They don't.
Right. This has been something that I've been mildly upset about for a long, long time, because you know there's always this argument that they kill property values, and the only things that I have seen that say that they kill property values are so-called studies that are appallingly badly done. If I saw...
Well, they're political statements, really.
They're political statements, and in the one case that I'm aware of, it was a study in which the person who conducted two studies, one with 30 home transactions and one with 50, based the study on his own appraisals of the values of the property, which
That's
is
a little bit dishonest, isn't it?
It's thoroughly dishonest. You know, if a person were teaching somebody, freshman in college, how to do studies, that would have got an F, no question about it. In this particular case, the one that it was compared to at the time, which was maybe 8-10 years ago, had 120,000 transactions involved, and it was done by the University of Connecticut and I think Lawrence Berkeley, but for the state government of Massachusetts. In this case, it's the Department of Energy. Let me read the synopsis. Fossil energy stakeholders have been ginning up local opposition to new wind farms, partly on account of their supposed impact on property values. A growing pile of evidence shows that the impacts on property values are negligible, according to the U.S. Department of Energy. Now, the thing that the Energy Department has said is that after these people come in and tell everybody these turbines are going up and they're wrecking your property values, the property values do go down by 1% on average. And of course, they recover from that. So this is utter nonsense. And I talked to a friend.
It's political.
Yeah, I talked to a friend of mine who was deeply into real estate and said, why would wind turbines cause property values to go up? Because I had come across studies that said that wind turbines increase property values. He said, that's easy. They pay taxes and they don't demand any services. So it means that, you know, the taxes for everybody else go down. And in fact, I talked to the people. What was the wind farm that you and I went to, Tom?
Oh, that's, yeah. I'm trying to figure out where it is.
Starts with an S.
The cars over the turbines.
Yeah. Starts with an S. You and I went out there.
Yeah, I know we were there. I can remember being there.
Out on Route 9.
Yep.
I called the people there and said, what about the property values? What about property taxes? And I was told that they had decided that because they had this big wind farm, they were going to apply half of the income from the wind farm to doing things for the town, and the other half was going to be applied to reduce property taxes. So they had a big reduction in property taxes because they had the wind farm. Nobody cared about the wind farm except that it was a really good thing. And I've talked to other people who basically live in wind farm areas, and that, you know, the wind farms are very much accepted. Okay, we're back home, Tom.
I guess we are.
I guess we are. We have a picture here of a farm in Vermont. The picture just says Vermont, but that's clearly not, you know, condominium there. Okay.
A little bit of snow on the ground.
Yeah. What do you have for, and by the way, you know, I'm upset because here it is, the second day of spring, and we're expecting cold weather tonight that's going to probably kill the Siberian irises that are blooming in the yard where I live. Now, how do you figure that? They started blooming 2 days before winter ended. This is not what is supposed to happen. Anyway, this is from VT Digger. What do you have for a title?
New analysis suggests lower price tag for changes to Vermont's renewable energy law.
Yeah, as a proposed revision of the state's renewable energy policy comes up for vote in the House this week, and by the way, it has already, lawmakers will have a new price tag to consider. It is less than half the one originally presented by Governor Phil Scott's administration. Now, that
Less than half.
Less than half. The thing is that what they're talking about is telling the utilities that they have to buy renewable energy in the future. This is not an instant change, but it is a change that they have. And there are some people who are trying to claim that renewable energy will cost more, but the experience is that if it's being done honestly, and you can do it dishonestly, in which case who knows what's going to happen. But if it's being done honestly, renewable energy is going to be cheaper. So,
But you don't have to pay for fuel.
hey, Tom, just consider this for a minute. When we started doing this show, Vermont had the highest electricity prices in New England. And guess what's happened? It has the lowest now.
Oh, is that so?
Yeah. And the reason is because we've been converting where we get electricity from to renewable. And now we get very little. I mean, 75% of our electricity, I think, is coming from renewable. Some of it comes from gas out of state, and some of it comes from nuclear out of state. But
Some of it comes from Canada.
yeah, a lot of it is from Canada, but that is renewable. Or at least it's theoretically renewable. We said
It is. It's water power.
I know. So we're up at the end of our show, and we have to tell our audience to have a luminously gorgeous week. And that's where we are, Tom.
I think we are.
I think we are. So I'm waving goodbye to everybody. And I say this every week, but it's because I know it's true. Tom Fennell is waving goodbye too.
I am waving goodbye.
The only question is the cat waving goodbye?
No, he's sitting there next to me looking at me.
He wants to be fed. He doesn't want you to go away. He doesn't want to say goodbye. Okay, so what do you have to say, everybody? What advice do you have for them, Tom?
You all come back and see us now, you hear?
See you later.